To see my exclusive content, visit ChrissyVIP at ChrissyOnline.com and be sure to join the mailing list for updates on future videos. The links are in the description box. Please like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching. So in this video, I want to talk about a couple of beautiful ladies on TikTok that recently gave me a shout out. One in particular went viral and sent quite a bit of new subscribers my way. And I want to say thank you to those ladies and welcome to all of the new subscribers. Make sure you check out the playlists on this channel and familiarize yourself with my content if you haven't already. I talk a lot about colorism, hypergamy, representation, and optics as they pertain to Black women. And I've been making videos for a little over 8 years now, so there's a lot of content to watch that still applies to much of what is happening with Black women today. So definitely check those out, and thank you for subscribing. Now let's get into the first TikTok video, and this is from TikToker J Baby Lacey.
So my Black girl beauty tip, I used to watch this girl on YouTube named Chrissy, and she really kind of molded me in a lot of the way I view Black women's beauty. And one thing she used to always say is Black women look the best in their natural hair, in natural hairstyles, even if it's not real. She used to be like, if you want long thick hair, then you add in some clip-ins that look like your hair, or always kind of shape it around what you already have that's beautiful. And I believe that 100%.
So first I want to say, what a beautiful woman. The face, the skin, the hair, just gorgeous, honey. And she is passing on some great beauty advice to other Black women. And I always love to see these beautiful Black women representing my work. I love to see the results of my work because I'm constantly being told, oh, you're making dark-skinned women more insecure. You're turning them into bitter Black women. And I'm always like, okay, but where's the evidence of that? And not just some random dark-skinned girl that's on the internet saying something stupid or doing something silly. And, you're trying to attach me to her out of spite, yet there's no actual proof of her listening to me or taking my advice. I'm talking about the women who are actually mentioning me. I never see people show the Black women like this who are actually referencing me and taking my advice and have gotten great results. And I know sometimes y'all get drowned out. A lot of you are not online. You're moving in stealth. You're quietly leveling up and taking the advice. But I've gotten so many level up testimonials, but I hear all the time that most of my followers are these ugly, bitter femcells that can't get men. But when we actually see some of my subscribers, they don't fit that description. So I'm just trying to figure out where they at. And I always find that narrative very interesting, especially coming from Black men on here from the manosphere, because we've seen a manosphere listener actually shoot up a subway. We know that they were at one point being investigated by the FBI. We've seen their extremist followers out here doing crazy stuff. But in the entire 8 years I've been online, you can't tie me to any scenarios like that unless, of course, you're making things up or you're blaming me for something I had absolutely nothing to do with. And that's what people do to me often because they're just so desperate to discredit me, so they just start making stuff up. But in the end, the truth will always prevail. My advice produces confident Black women, confident dark-skinned Black women. My advice produces more winners than anything. Why? Because I have a high standard winning mindset, and I pass that on to the ladies who support me. And people see that, but they have to pretend that they don't because they benefit from dark-skinned women having a defeatist mindset. There's a reason why they don't bother the colorist content creators and the people on here trying to keep dark-skinned women complacent and silent about colorism. And it's because they benefit from us having low self-esteem and being afraid to speak the truth. When we love ourselves and we know our worth and we show up like that, they no longer have a mule, because even with some of J Baby's other content that she made on TikTok was just spot on. So, when we're moving like this and we're putting ourselves first, prioritizing our plight, making sure that what we do is going to benefit us first, people get really terrified by that because they no longer have our backs to step on to elevate themselves. They can no longer use us as placeholders. This platform disrupts the status quo. It throws a lot of people off of their pedestal, and that's why it triggers so many people. But in the end, it does what it's supposed to do, and that is make more confident, self-loving, dark-skinned women. And I have endless receipts to prove that, just like this one. And I came across a video on Instagram of a little dark-skinned girl crying about being called black and ugly in school.
But you're not ugly. My kids not ugly. None of my kids are ugly. People gonna talk about you regardless if you got your hair braided, if you got it done or not. People gonna talk about you regardless. People just always gonna find something to talk about. You gotta learn to ignore people. This is just something that some people go through. Is it right that people talk about you? No, but people gonna talk about you regardless. You gotta turn the other cheek, baby, and ignore them. If not, you're going to be fighting the rest of your life. Every time somebody says something about you, you're going to be fighting. You got to learn to ignore that kind of stuff.
And when I see videos like that, I'm reminded of why my platform and other platforms like mine matter so much. This is who we do it for. And unfortunately, this is proof that most Black people are still colorists and they're still teaching their children to be colorist as well. And I think her mother is doing the best that she can, but Black women shouldn't have to keep telling their dark-skinned girls to just ignore colorist bullies and get tougher skin. It should be the responsibility of Black people to actively teach their children not to be colorists. But even in 2023, we still have not reached that point, and I don't know if we ever will, unfortunately. And for the colorists who are triggered right now, yes, we know that a lot of people get bullied in school. Yes, we know that light-skinned girls get picked on for their skin tone. But this is about dark-skinned girls, dark-skinned Black girls, because it's much more common with them. And so when I make these videos, I can only hope that one day little dark-skinned girls like the one in the video crying about people calling her Black and ugly in school, I hope they will see my content just like J Baby and the thousands of other dark-skinned women and girls that listen to my content and gain more confidence, gain higher self-esteem, and take the steps to truly gain their power back, because it is possible. The testimonials from Black mothers telling me that my content has helped their daughters are the best testimonials, and it's confirmation that my work is not in vain, and it's confirmation that it is a part of my purpose. Now, with that said, there are downsides to this work. I talk more about this in detail in the video I did that's available on my website, christyonline.com. So I'm not going to get too deep into it here, but a lot has happened, and it's why I've kept this separate from my personal life. And I want to encourage any dark-skinned woman who's thinking about trying to help other dark-skinned women or Black women in general. I want to encourage you to do the same thing, because in my opinion, it's just not worth the personal sacrifice. And that brings me to the next TikToker that I want to discuss. This is a TikToker named Barbie Life 2.0, aka Shakira. This beauty is a professional model and she is stunning. Once again, she does not fit the description of all of these supposed unattractive, undesirable, dark-skinned women that follow Chrissy. But anyway, let's play the video from Shakira that I want to talk about.
Starting to realize that dark-skinned women live in a different world than girl. I like this girl. Pretty, always on here with her content. I like her. I do. But you have to be exhausted with this narrative every single day. I'm not saying that colorism doesn't exist. I'm not saying that at all. Okay, so don't take this the wrong way. But never in my life have I felt ugly for being dark skinned. Never in my life have I felt like I haven't gotten opportunities because I'm dark skinned. So I just feel like the excessive videos on this colorism content is extreme. Okay, it's extreme.
Y'all see that girl? Do y'all see that girl? Y'all think that lady is walking around like, oh my gosh, I'm dark skinned.
So that was some of the video. If you want to hear the rest, definitely go check out Shakira on TikTok. In the response, she goes on to talk about how even though she does colorism content, her life does not revolve around that 24/7. And she mentioned me and other YouTubers who talk about colorism. And the first thing I want to say is this. I don't think dark-skinned women should be overly consumed with colorism content, but I also think that it's possible to have a platform that mainly talks about colorism, or even if it's not colorism, just one thing in general that's affecting Black women. I think it's possible to do that and not be totally consumed with that every single day, all day. And see, what colorists like to do, when it's something that they really don't want to hear about colorism, they're going to exaggerate. They're going to say, oh, you talk about this all day, every day. Don't you get tired? As if, you're doing it 24 hours in a day. That's just what they're going to do. But it is possible to not be overly consumed in Black politics. I have a life completely separate from YouTube. I have a completely different career that is my main source of income. I have a lot of unrelated hobbies, and I have vowed to never do YouTube full time, even though I could. I always say that I don't want to because I refuse to make this my life and my career. I know I can't consume myself in politics as a full-time job. It's just not an option. It's not a desire. And you can see that by how many breaks I take. It's just not something I want to do. Sometimes I'm a little bit more active on here than other times, but I've never really been a consistent YouTuber, and it will always be that way. And so what Jasmine said is valid, but she also seems to be projecting as well. And I have to say this, I hate to do it. Some of y'all are going to get triggered, but the women who talk like Jasmine and make it a point to try to silence other dark-skinned women who speak on colorism almost always have that look, if you know what I mean. They usually have a cake face full of makeup. They're usually heavily contoured, borderline drag queen makeup, unrealistic looking weave that they wear 11 months out of the year. They say they've never experienced colorism or felt ugly or less than for being dark skinned, but at the same time, it appears that they're attempting to alter their black features with makeup and hair, not just enhance them, but alter them altogether. And ironically, it's the dark-skinned women like J Baby that generally don't take issue with colorism content. Not to the extent that they're making videos telling dark-skinned women to stop talking about it. Even if they haven't been affected by colorism, or even if it's not, something that they really care to talk about all the time, the content still doesn't actually trigger them. I'm not saying those dark-skinned women always have the same aesthetic, but in the 8 years I've been doing this, they usually do. And so Shakira reached out to me, which is how I even became aware of these videos. But she was discouraged because, like me, when I first started doing colorism content, I fully expected to get pushback from colorist black men and light-skinned women, but I didn't expect so much vitriol from other dark-skinned women. And I'm not just talking about respectful critiques, but dark-skinned women straight up making videos cursing me out on the behalf of light-skinned women and black men. That is something I was completely blindsided by. And after listening to these women over the years talk about how they, had such a huge problem with my platform, I realized that many of them are unfortunately dealing with some internalized colorism. They don't want to piss the colorists off because they hate being called insecure. They hate being called bitter and jealous and angry. And they want to show the colorists that they aren't like that. They're, the special snowflake dark-skinned woman. They think dark-skinned women talking about colorism makes them look bad. And let's just be real. It's mainly because black men say it makes dark-skinned women look bad. So they want to look different in the eyes of black men and colorist people, even though that will never change how those people actually see dark-skinned women. Black men as a collective are still going to be colorist, and I think dark-skinned women know that, but colorism content reminds them of that unfortunate reality. So to cope, they just want to block it out of their minds altogether. And so women like Jasmine think it makes them look more confident to minimize colorism. But they don't realize what makes them look insecure and less confident more than anything is attempting to mimic the hair and features of other race women. And I have to go there. I don't think black women truly understand how much the aesthetic we adopt makes us look extremely insecure and not proud of how we look. And not just, the aesthetic, but the behavior we exhibit as well. Black women, colorism content is the least of your worries if you're worried about looking bad as a black woman. There's a lot wrong with our image and the optics that we co-sign that make us look horrible. But, we won't get too deep into that in this video. There are other videos I've made about it, so you can go watch them. But, I totally understand how colorism content can get kind of heavy or depressing, but you're doing a huge disservice to other dark-skinned women and girls trying to use your lack of experience with colorism to silence them. Because the content can help other dark-skinned women and girls, and it does, just like it helped J Baby. Even if you yourself as a dark-skinned woman have never experienced colorism or you don't find the videos helpful, it will help somebody else. I mean, the fact that little dark-skinned girls are still crying about colorism in 2023 says it all. And that's why what Jasmine said is irresponsible. And something else I see happening often is women like Jasmine will tell dark-skinned women to stop talking about colorism. But then at a later date, if they experience colorism or featureism or some sort of other ism, they expect black women to protest on their behalf. Or if that happens, because they already shit on colorism content, they're too prideful to come out and say anything. So what happens is they'll slowly start co-signing the content and repeating the talking points. And that actually has happened on YouTube several times with dark-skinned woman creators that, you know, come out against my content real heavy in the beginning. But then something happens and they get dragged by the colorist content creators online that hate me. So what'll happen is I'll see them make less and less videos about me, and then eventually they start agreeing with me and repeating my message. And even though that shit is hella annoying, I do try to give black women grace because I have been there. I have been there and done similar things to black women about their experiences that I couldn't relate to. Now, the difference between me and them is I came out and apologized. I corrected my mistakes. I put my pride aside. But for a lot of black women, it's extremely hard to do that. And I'm going to tell the black women listening something I told Shakira personally in my email response to her. Ladies, when you choose to pick up the mic or the camera and discuss colorism or any sort of black politics, and you do it in a way that's actually going to benefit black women, just know that while other black women will be your biggest supporters, they will also be your biggest detractors after black men and colorist light-skinned women. Okay? And not only that, they will try to destroy you with colorist black men and light-skinned women. I and other black women who speak on colorism have gotten stalked, harassed, we've received death threats, we've been doxxed from both black men and black women simply for telling the truth about colorism and the black community. So like I told Shakira, I'll tell the other ladies on TikTok and YouTube and everywhere else. Unless you plan on doing social justice work or activism, if you want to call it that, online activism, unless you plan on doing this forever, do not attach your face or your identity to this. It is my suggestion that you do not pigeonhole yourself in the black politic box and ruin any potential job opportunities or opportunities in general, because at the end of the day, the collective of black people will never appreciate your efforts, nor are they going to give you a job. Let's just keep it real. That is a huge reason why I'm anonymous. I will never do this full time. And like I always say, I don't believe in black women muling for anyone, and not even for other black women. And it took me a while to come to this point, but it was inevitable. Because look, whenever you try to help the collective of black people, whether it be, you know, just the collective of black people in general or the collective of black women, you will end up sacrificing yourself in some type of way. And so while I think it's fine to help sometimes and speak on things sometimes, just please make sure you protect yourself and your image in the process. And like I told Shakira, if you're dead set on showing your face while talking about this stuff, just diversify your platform. Don't just do this. Create a lifestyle channel or a travel channel, or just try to occupy some other type of genre completely separate from this as well. So if you should ever get exhausted with the politics, you have something else to fall back on. That way, from an optics standpoint, you don't place yourself in one box. Because what I don't want to happen is you guys doing this for years and years, and you get attacked and dragged up and down the internet, and you can't get certain opportunities. I don't want you coming back and being mad at me and trying to blame me for it when I told you how to move. That's why it's important, ladies, when you listen to my advice, just don't take bits and pieces of it and run with it. Make sure you're listening to all of it and taking heed to all of the advice that will help you. And I'm saying don't try to make this a career, because black people will never unify as a collective in any meaningful way. There will never be a real black sisterhood. You can't save every black woman or every dark-skinned woman. People are always going to be colorist. So when I say you shouldn't dedicate your lives to saving black people and even other black women, because then you're going to sacrifice yourself and your livelihood, that's why. Put the content out, help the women that you can, but I do not recommend trying to do this forever or putting all of your eggs in the black politic basket. I relate to the passion of wanting to help. And like I said, the content is helpful and it is necessary, but just make sure you're protecting yourselves as much as you can while doing it. I cannot stress that enough. And that's all I want to say about this for now. Make sure you visit ChrissyOnline.com for exclusive content. Let me know what you think about this video down in the comment section. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch up with you in the next one.